Hello there, and welcome to the Stay Off My Lawn podcast, where we'll have a little fun, lots of laughs, and discussions on the common sense that needs to be applied to a lot of today's world news issues. And now, the disclaimer. Stay Off My Lawn is not intended as legal, medical, or financial advice. Void where prohibited. No purchase necessary to win. Open to legal U.S. residents 18 or over in the contiguous 48 states. Any resemblance to anyone living or deceased is purely coincidental. Actual price may vary. Only use as directed. Not a member of FDIC. And now, here are your hosts, Mike and Richard.
Hi, welcome to this week's edition of Stay Off My Lawn. It's March 26th. We're actually on the right date today. And 2024, and it is episode 60. Big 60.
The numbers just keep ticking up, just like my birthday.
Seems like every week we get another addition to that number. Anyway, hey, so how was your weekend? I know you've been playing nurse.
Well, let's see. To quote my favorite author, Snoopy, it was a dark and stormy night. we had. You like that? Did you?
I do.
We had, it was beautiful weather right up to weekend time, and then I got a new toy and I can't use it. It's driving me nuts. I'll tell you what that is here in a sec.
Okay.
But anyhow, we had just rain off and on and heavy wind and then pouring down rain. Yesterday we had what we call a gully washer.
Oh boy.
Because we don't just get it's like a cloud burst, all that kind of stuff. It just came over and all of a sudden, geez, it was deafening, pounding down, rain puddles out in the driveway. That's when we know it rained hard. But anyhow, my new toy, I got a pizza maker to go on a grill. So it doesn't heat itself. It doesn't have to, they're like $300-400. I ain't paying that. This was a little over $100, and it looks like it's made pretty good. And it's got a stone inside it, and you just set it on top of your grill, whether it's a pellet stove. I have a Weber also, or a gas grill, and it's got holes around the outside edge, and it lets smoke go up in through it. And
wow.
So I'm gonna see how it works.
Very good. Very good.
The weather was crappy.
Yeah, I think we're getting the same thing. The last 2 days, we have had nothing but wind. I mean, like gusts up to 35 miles an hour, which for us is quite a bit because we got a lot of trees where I live. So it's like I was just afraid things are going to fall over in my backyard. I got some really tall pines back there, and then today we're getting the rain. So I wonder if that whole system of yours just kind of moved down towards us.
Yeah, it comes across. And then also this weekend, we've talked about the wife had complete, what is it? CKT? I don't know. Complete knee replacement. Whatever.
CKR?
CKR, thank you.
Yeah.
Got it in the CKAR. No, anyhow.
Oh my gosh.
And I sent you a picture. She's got a big, long snake on her knee, and it's healing up well, looking good. We finally get to go to the post-op on Thursday. So a couple more days, and hopefully she can get those staples out. I had to put a little pad over one section, bandage type thing, because as it's healing, the skin is shrinking, and those staples are sticking up more.
Oh gosh. So
so if she rubs her knee against the sheets or something, it's like somebody just poking you with a needle.
I'd be sleeping on the couch at that point, I think. Jeez.
It's like, okay, I got to change that to fix that up. I happen to have some gauze pad things that had little stickies on either side, and those have come in pretty handy. So,
oh, cool.
But she's doing really well. She was up wandering about, walking and doing stuff yesterday. I got her all taken care of today, and she needs to she can get out of bed on her own. She goes to the bathroom on her own. She's doing all that stuff. She's doing great. But boy, when they cut out a chunk of your leg, top and bottom, and shave it all down and then drill holes, and geez. Well, it's all brand new.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, probably in a couple of months, she'll be moving around better than you do. So
I talked to someone that her husband had it, and she goes 2 months, and he's just almost back to normal. Wouldn't even know any difference.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. And then she doesn't have to do the other leg eventually, does she? Or is she?
Yeah.
Yeah. I was thinking that you had told me that. It'd been a while since we talked about this. So.
Yeah, the one that got done was it was beyond being shot.
Yeah, yeah.
It was a mess.
I saw the X-ray you sent me. Goodness gracious, that had to hurt.
Yeah, she was getting to where going anywhere, doing stuff. Somebody, one of the nurses in the hospital asked her, "So, do you have what do you use for a cane?" I'm sitting there, and she goes, "He's my cane."
Him, yeah.
She points at me because I help her out. She gets a hold of my arm, and I'm just keep her from stumbling till she can get a hold of the grocery cart, and that's her walker in the store.
When my wife had her hip replaced, that was the same thing. It's like I never got to push the buggy. I mean, she ended up
Yeah.
doing it. So,
Yeah. So
that
she's doing really good. Her spirits are good, and the pain pills that she was on, she's no longer on any of them. And the withdrawals from some of that stuff, why you would want to be on that? Just 4 days of being on the oxycodone because, they sliced your knee open. It's going to be a little painful.
Yeah.
But even just 4 days of that,
I just
she was sick and not feeling good, and she had cold sweats and all that kind of stuff. And she goes, "I don't know why I got I'm going, you're having withdrawals, dude. Sorry."
Jeez, yeah. It
And
affects
then
everybody so differently. I mean, when
I
when
know
they
the
gave me
tramadol's not supposed to be something that addicts you, but it
No.
was almost as bad. She's
Interesting.
still, upset stomach and not feeling good and had chills, but she wasn't clammy and she wasn't talking like that's not you talking.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
why you would wanna be on that all the time, I have no idea in hell, but,
They gave me a
so she's not
hydrocodone in
on
the
any of that,
hospital.
and she's back to normal, having a good conversation,
Well,
so
good, good. Yeah, they gave me a hydrocodone in the hospital, because when they took the, pain relief, I always forget what that's called. Um,
Oh, the pain
epidural.
blocker, the epidural,
When
yeah.
they took the
Yeah, she had
epidural
that
off
too.
me, then they said, "The pain's gonna be coming. You need a hydrocodone." I'm like going, I think I'm okay." And they talked me into it, and then they gave it to me, and I was like going, "Whoo," I felt like I was on a roller coaster. I hated it. It's like, "No,
Yeah.
don't give me that anymore. I'd rather be in pain." And whenever I've had that, whenever I had my arm surgery and the whole thing, they tried to push that stuff on me. It's like, I just don't feel good on it. So it's like, I'd rather deal with, "Ooh, that hurts," and maybe I haven't been in enough pain to really be that desperate, but I'd rather hurt for me.
Yeah, I did that with my shoulder. I think I took it for, like, 2 days or, I don't think it was 3, and just went, "No," 'cause, it did a lot of other things to my internals, and
Oh
it's like,
boy. Yeah.
"No."
It's weird how it affects people differently. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
So,
but
anyway, life
yeah.
is good. We're doing great. She's gonna be able to be a lot more mobile, and we can do some other things.
Well, good. Maybe you can come to Georgia and visit us, and then we could actually do the podcast in the same room, which people think we do anyway. Um, we
Well, it
can,
feels like we're in the same room.
considering some of our emails, people do believe that we script everything out, and
Yeah. Yeah,
yeah,
trust me, we're way too lazy to script it out.
and not
Uh
smart enough, really. I mean, but
we send stuff back and forth to each other. Sometimes we send the same thing to each other
yep.
within a 5-minute span. And because I haven't looked at what you sent, you didn't look at what I sent. We send stuff and I've already sent that. Oh, yeah, I see that now.
And that's the great thing about Instagram is if you use it correctly, I'm sure there's some ugly stuff on there, but if you go through and you follow a bunch of senators and news, alternative news, not NBC or anything, but I mean, you follow a lot of those sites that aren't afraid to tell you the truth. I mean, there's all kinds of things. And did you want to talk about the setting on Instagram that came out?
Oh, yes. If anybody's on Instagram and you're all of a sudden noticing you're not seeing much political stuff come through, or you're only seeing one side of
Yeah.
politics come through that
Hmm.
they deem is good for you, just in less than the last 2 weeks, all of a sudden, Instagram put a deal in that you can opt out and get more politics sent to you, political stories sent to you, but you have to go in and
Yeah.
find it.
It
You got to
defaulted to
go
where
into
you
your
don't. Yeah.
Yeah, you got to go into your settings, go down to preferences. In preferences, then it's you go to that into the preference deal, and then it's down.
See more
uh,
political content or something.
yes, and it's just move it from less political to I want to see more.
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, you
Yeah,
just and obviously, if you're given to I can't even say it with a straight face. If you're prone to being depressed over the political atmosphere of the country, then don't do it. But if you want to stay informed like him and I do, then there you go. So, but yeah, you got to wonder if this is election interference type thing. I mean, I don't like it. I don't like it at all.
Okay, if you want, I can give you the step-by-step now.
Yeah, go ahead.
Real quickly. Tap on your picture, which will take you to your page, if you will, all the things that you've put on there. And then up in the top right corner there's 3 lines. Hit the 3 lines and then keep scrolling. They've got all kinds of settings. Scroll all the way down till you get to content preferences. Tap on that. Then you're in content preferences. Oh, they've hidden this quite well. In content preferences, go down to political content, and it will be limit political content from people you don't know. Why would they have it set that way? Down to don't limit political content from people you don't know.
Yeah.
And click on that, and all of a sudden your feed changes back to what you were seeing. A lot of different things it made a huge difference. You said yours, all of a sudden we were almost getting nothing but political stuff for a while until we looked at some of the other things. And so
Zuckerberg,
you really have to get into that to change it, people. That's an Instagram.
Yeah, and Zuckerberg hates conservatives, so stay tuned because Facebook is I'm sure that's coming. So anyway. Oh, as far as I'm concerned, I start my immunotherapy tomorrow, which should be no big deal, but just to kind of keep you up to date with what's going on with me. So that's only an hour's worth of drugs being pumped in me, which normally I'm down. Normally, dude, I'm down for it. Sounds really like a lot of fun. So anyway. Hey, we always,
and you don't even invite friends, man. I'm so like bald.
Dude, I'm Bogarting the Opdivo. Anyway, we see, it's all scripted. We have all this written down.
We're so good at making it sound natural.
Exactly.
How about that?
We're 11 minutes in already. Hey, we like to start off with a bit of wisdom from our commander-in-chief, and this is how this goes this week.
It's Uncle Joe's Wisdom of the Week.
We'll teach Donald Trump a valuable lesson. Don't mess with the women in America unless you want to get the benefit.
Yeah, I mean,
sure. I won't mess with her because I want to benefit.
I wrote that down. I can't read it, but I wrote it down. Goodness gracious, there's letters that don't belong next to each other. So anyway, you know what? And speaking of Uncle Joe, what could be better and more funny than Hillary Clinton's weird accent? Do you remember that whole thing when she was running for president back in 2016? She was at a black church and she put on some kind of weird accent. It wasn't an accent that I've ever heard before. But anyway, she had that accent when she was speaking at a black church back in 2016. Uncle Joe copy and pasted this speech. It's fantastic. Anyway, he was at a black church. I don't know if it's the same black church, but he was at a black church too, giving a campaign speech. And see if you can see any similarities.
We've come too far.
I come too far.
From where we started.
From where I started from.
Nobody told me the road would be easy.
Nobody told me that the road would be easy.
I don't believe he brought me this far to leave me.
I don't believe he brought me this far to leave me.
My fellow Americans, I don't think the good Lord brought us this far to leave us behind.
Oh my gosh. What? I have this far to believe. I mean, it's like people in North Dakota are like going, what is she talking about? Oh my gosh.
It almost sounds like she was going to say, oh, nominee,
a little, yeah. She's just something.
I don't know what the hell that was, but nonetheless, bad.
He copied it.
Thank you, Uncle Joe, and your people that are helping you out aren't helping you.
Are not helping you out. Yeah, I mean, so it's not just Great Britain's people that he steals speeches from. It's Hillary too.
He's an equal opportunity.
Exactly. Let's get to this before we go to break. There's a big difference between how Florida allows its citizens to deal with criminals as compared to Canada's.
Really?
Yeah, this is from Santa Rosa County Sheriff. I can't think of his name off the top of my head. I should have written it down. See, it's not scripted. I told you. I screwed up there. Anyway, this is how Santa Rosa County Sheriff addresses people that shoot home invaders.
Whole move to try to come up with something by the administration.
I had the wrong one. Sorry, that was my fault.
Which homeowner shot at him? I guess they think that they did something wrong, which they did not. If somebody's breaking in your house, you're more than welcome to shoot them in Santa Rosa County. We prefer that you do, actually. So whoever that was, you're not in trouble. Come see us. We have a gun safety class we put on every other Saturday. And if you take that, you'll shoot a lot better, and hopefully you'll save taxpayers money. Which homeowner shot at him?
Anyway, it save you a lot of money. It's like, if you go take their class, you'll hit the center mass much more frequently. But in Canada, you had a story about that.
Oh, yes. In Canada, in their legislature, parliament, whatever it is, they're saying, oh, people, you just need to put your keys by the door because these home invaders, all they're wanting to do is steal your car. Just let them get your car, and then it won't be that big a deal.
Oh,
say
boy.
What?
Yeah.
You just let them have that $60,000 car that's sitting out there in the driveway. It's okay.
And, I read a story about that, too, that not to keep your keys by the front door because your keys are always sending out RF signals to your car saying that you're close enough to it or whatever. When you get close enough to it, especially if you have a push-button start type thing, that people have this these little computers that they can get that RF signal, make another fob, and steal your car just because you leave your keys by the front door. So anyway, that to me that just sounds like a terrible idea. But I'm not Canadian.
A fan of that either. But that's the two different between liberalism, whether it's Canada or the U.S., kind of the same thing.
It is.
Oh, they broke through your door. No, you can't get rid of them. And now there's squatters and people coming over our border that are houses that are empty. They say are fair game, and you can just go move into those. It's not a problem.
Can you imagine breaking into Justin Trudeau's house? He probably has no guns or whatever. Stop! Don't take anything. Oh my gosh. Anyway, we're up against a break. Oh my gosh, we're way over. When we come back, we're going to talk about that $1.2 trillion omnibus bill that just got passed, and some of the stuff that's in it's going to curl your hair a little bit if it's not curly already. So hang in there. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. More of the Stay Off My Lawn podcast is coming up.
Supplement adds to your fun. Tackle's fun for everyone. Tackle freshness, smoothness too. You will love it, millions do. Makes your mouth feel fresh and clean. After meals and in between. Supplement adds to your fun. Double mint chewing gum.
You will love the double fresh taste and double smooth chewing goodness of Double Mint gum. That's why we say that chewing Double Mint doubles the pleasure of everything you do. So remember, Double Mint
adds to your fun.
It's fun.
Double pleasure all in one. So delicious, great to chew. Treat yourself and your friends too. Tastes so good and lasts so long. Get some soon, you can't go wrong. Double Mint adds to your fun. Double Mint chewing gum.
All right, welcome back to Stay Off My Lawn. It's segment 2, and we're going to jump right into this $1.2 trillion, 1,000-plus page omnibus bill. Omnibus.
That they had 48 hours, was it, to read?
It was less than 36, as a matter of fact. To read it, digest it, figure out whether, and of course, I think it was Nancy Pelosi that famously said a few years ago, it's like, well, we got to pass the bill in order to find out what's in it. I think that wasn't that?
Yes, that was her. Yep.
Was that Obamacare?
No, I've seen Kat Kamek when these have come up like that because Pelosi was pushing all this stuff through, and she was quote unquote in charge.
Yeah.
And what Kat Kemick's office would do is they would have like 8 people in her staff. You get this section to read, you get this section to read, and then everybody would, here's what we did, and you got to condense it down to figure out what's there. That's the only way you can get it done.
Exactly.
And then they were trying to pass this stuff at 2:00 in the morning.
Yeah, I think it was 2:36, something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's incredible. It's incredible. So anyway, it's very suspicious that it's got to be read and passed in 36 hours. 1,000+ page bill. You got to be kidding me. Nobody's going to read. I mean, unless like Kat Kemick did, is have your whole staff kind of break it up and
that's the only way. She said that's the only way we can get through them.
Yeah.
There's no way I can get through a $1,500. Yeah. Don't I wish they were only that big?
Yeah.
1,500 page document, and in less than 24 hours, and some of the stuff that Pelosi's BS was pulling.
I think there was over 150 Republicans voted for it too.
So, there's rhinos to the point of stupidity.
And you know, the speaker is kind of disappointed me on this one too. I mean, he pushed it through to the Senate, and okay, whatever. What's even more suspicious about it, all this Democratic is about this whole thing, was all the Democratic pork that's in it. There is $1.5 million for climate change stuff, which, you know, I mean,
what a waste of money.
That's probably a reduction in what's previously been in there. But get this now, there's a $15 million line item for Egyptian college tuitions. This is not Egyptian Americans. These are Egyptians living in Egypt. I mean, what's this for? Who came up with this?
And I forgot, how much was that one?
$15 million. $200 million. Now get this, for Gender Equity and Equality Action Fund. Now what that action fund, that sounds a little vague. What kind of action are we talking about?
Lopping things off and doing stuff to children that shouldn't be making that kind of a decision.
Yeah, exactly. $575 million for global reproductive health programs, aka abortions, because reproductive health, I mean, that's not even thinly veiled. That's just right out there in the open. $850,000 for LGBTQ plus senior homes. That obviously is a pressing issue for all of us here in the U.S. Seniors need LGBTQ plus homes. I don't know. There's $500,000 for a DEI zoo, diversity, equity, and inclusion zoo. I guess because there's. Do
you have the animals that?
That leopard he's a different color and he's being shunned, and I don't get it, but I mean, I'm not smart enough.
Okay, fine.
Yeah. $400,000, get this, for a gay activist group to teach elementary school kids about transgenderism. $400,000. $400,000. Another $400,000 for a program to give teen boys tuckable clothing and teen girls chest compression wear. Because, you know, that's very important for the federal government to get involved in that. Look, if you want to buy your kid something to tuck away his bits and parts and everything, you know, I suppose that's up to you. But the government should not be involved in this. I mean, this is just outrageous.
There was, speaking of tucking, doing things, that Leah Thomas just had all of her, however you want to put it, the NCAA board yanked all the medals and gave them to Riley Gaines, like they should have been in the first place, because that is not female competition. I don't care. You identify, but you still got all your parts and you still got all that testosterone, and your body structure has been made. There's no way a woman could do it. There's no way they could keep up. That's why they have women's sports. Hello.
Exactly. Oh, you have to wonder, like we talked last week about this lawsuit that these 15, 16 girls they're suing the NCAA because of Title IX. You got to wonder if they felt the heat from that already, and the lawyers are going, you need to fix this because they've got a good lawsuit.
Yep.
Anyway, we've got one more line item for that is $650,000 goes to every state to support illegal migrants. So, and of course the list goes on. This is stuff that I just can't believe this is the country we live in. So,
None of that is doing any general Americans any good at all.
Nope.
Not one single bit of it.
Not at all. CNBC, which we all know leans left. Of course, NBC is in its name. There's a host calling out the regime's hypocrisy to Pete Buttigieg, or I don't know how you pronounce his last name.
I know. I've heard Buttigieg. I've heard Booty. Whatever. It's old Booty Boy.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah, Booty is really in the name. I mean, I think that's really that really is appropriate. Anyway, this is how that little interview went.
Whole move to try to come up with something by the administration, and obviously bipartisan. That didn't come until it became clear it was going to be a major campaign issue. And only then did the Biden administration get interested in it. And every time I hear those talking... Hold on, let's be clear here, let me finish first. But every time we hear those talking points that suddenly it was Republicans who ruined the border, that's why people get so frustrated. We know what President Biden said about inviting people in. We know that he got rid of all the things that were keeping the border closed that President Trump had put in. We know that he got rid of all those. So when you say it's not his fault,
that's literally not true. It's literally not true that he got rid of the veterans. It's true he got rid of family separation.
Did you see 7.2 million people come in during the Trump administration? It was a trickle.
He got rid of the policy to tear children out of the arms of their parents. That's true. But it is not true. Some of the other things that have been suggested.
This is part of the problem with why there's a disconnect.
Taken place in 2015, 2006. I mean, literally since.
And if you watch the video right there at the end when the host stopped talking, he just kind of threw his hands up because the guy's not going to listen to him. They are so dug in to their opinions, but I got to give this host credit. He's waking up a little bit.
Yeah, it's like, no, that is not. You've been in 3 years, and the president has said that we need to let more people. Well, yeah, because now they want to count these people in their district so they can keep more Democrats and have more Democrats because they are leaving the Democrat states. They're moving out and they're going, oh, crap, we're losing 2 districts. Well, let's bring in these folks and we'll count them. No, they're illegal aliens. They don't belong here. They don't have citizenship. They don't have rights to vote. You're not going to give them rights to vote.
They are pushing for that. But you were just talking to me when in our pre-podcast meeting. You were telling me about a story about a town up in Wisconsin that the population has dropped down like almost a third in the last 5-6 years. It's like,
well, and you got Michigan where a gal that was doing some trying or whatever, she sent stuff to the local sheriff that she sent evidence to him of over 100 in Nevada, I'll get back to that, but she sent evidence to them of voter fraud from Dominion, having somehow or another somebody leaked emails of internal emails from Dominion. That's what they were doing. And they arrested her when she was in Washington doing a deposition on something else. They had her stay behind, and then they arrested her because she gave information to a non. She goes, no, it was against the law. It was illegal activity, so I gave it to the sheriff's office, which is what you should do when you have a crime that's committed.
Exactly. But
you think we got two-step stuff going on?
Two-tier justice system, absolutely. But I got to think about this. It's glaring me in the face when you were telling that. It's like, if you were going to be involved in something nefarious, would you ever write an email about that nefarious activity, whether it's internal or not, to anybody? Because you write an email, that's there forever. I mean, you can go to your Allmail and Gmail or almost any other server. You can find emails from 10 years ago. I had to go through and get rid of a bunch of stuff in my email because I was used up all my data. It's like they give you 15 gigs or whatever. And it's like, well, I didn't know what to do. I had to look up. I didn't know all that email was still there. I had stuff from over 10 years ago that was still in there. So that stuff doesn't go away. And so
even if you delete it, it's still there
exactly
on a server somewhere.
Exactly. It's in the cloud. It's somewhere. So, I mean, if you're going to be a criminal, you need to be smarter, first of all. But yeah, the whole Dominion thing, I mean, somebody's got to do a deep dive into that. I hope
That's what they had
does.
done. And now this gal, because she was representing someone and had sent it on, they're claiming that what she sent on shouldn't have been sent. She sent crime information to a member of the police force, and in this case, a sheriff. What are you supposed to do? Well, when you've got a third world country, you just arrest those that found out stuff.
Exactly. And that's what we're looking like now. It's just incredible.
It's a joke and a half.
Well, speaking of waking up, the Albanian prime minister had the
good segue. I'm impressed.
I know we did so good.
You wrote such a good script for that.
See, I'm writing all the time. The Albanian prime minister and Secretary of State Anthony Blinken. Oh my gosh, you watch this video. He's so embarrassed. They were at a press conference. I don't know who they were talking to or whatever. But the subject of NATO came up, and this is what the Albanian prime minister had to say.
Let's say that the American politics nowadays is not at its best. But one thing I can say, I had the privilege to be prime minister of Albania in NATO when the former president was there. And despite the rhetoric, despite the colorful way to confront adversaries, I don't see that NATO was weakened. On the contrary, what was decided before continued to be the case. Every country continued to put more money and to put more effort in increasing the NATO budget.
See, I mean, Prime Minister
Secretary Blinken is standing almost, he's just right beside the
2 feet
podium,
from
right
him,
with him. And this guy is just going, and he can't do anything about it.
Trump did it so much better, and just so you know, it was great. It was great. You got to see the look on his face. Go find that on YouTube.
It was awesome to watch.
It was. And Blinken is such an arrogant SOB anyway. So
yes. Well, anybody that's in that cabinet is, so it just goes without saying.
That's true too. You may have heard about the scandal about Tyson Foods, which I've heard bits and pieces. They supposedly were firing Americans to replace them with illegal immigrants, and yada yada yada. And you don't know what's exactly true because it's a company that you don't have the inside information. Well, the great Joe Pags gave us some details on all that, and this is how he explained it, and it's a lot of good information.
What's the truth about this Tyson Foods story? I'm going to break it down for you. Are they firing all of their American workers and hiring a bunch of refugees? The simple answer is no, but it's complicated, so let's get into it. In Iowa, they're closing a plant, a Tyson Foods plant, and 1,300 American workers are losing their jobs. This is from multiple sources. When asked about it, the company said, unfortunately, we have to close that plant. And then when you research a little bit further, you find that Tyson Foods employs 120,000 people in the United States. They proudly boast 42,000 of those are here across the border and are called refugees. Tyson Foods then doubles down for some reason, after knowingly losing 1,300 American workers, they say we're looking to hire 42,000 more refugees, mainly from New York City. If we can find them, that's an actual quote from the company. So in a week where you lose 1,300 American workers, I think the last thing you would want to announce is that you're looking to hire 42,000 non-American workers. So it's a combination of two stories into one. Some have said they're firing all of their American workforce. That's not true. But if you're looking to hire a bunch of people and you just laid off a bunch of people, maybe offer them the jobs first before you announce you're looking to get somebody who's not from here.
42,000 though, for what?
To work in the plants, and if they're illegals, they can keep them working there because, if you step out of line, and you're going to be able to pay them less.
Sure.
Most of the time, and they don't want to mention that part. And Tyson Foods is having their problem right now, and it's another one of those. It's not just chicken, folks. You need to look into it. They own Jimmy Dean. They own a bunch of other food companies that they have become this conglomerate like Unilever and some of those.
Right.
And you have to go and look. It's probably they own 20, 25 other companies that we're all familiar with. Yep. So if you're going to boycott them, just like Budweiser, they make so many different beers.
I had a family member text me after that whole Bud Light thing came up, and it's like, well, I'm moving over to Michelob. It's like going, we make that too. And it's like, well, what don't you make? It's like, so I had to list some things. He goes, well, I'll just go to Modelo. It's like, we own 50% of that too. I mean, it's like, so yeah, you're right. You have to do if you truly want to boycott a company, you got to do some research, because it's going to be eventually down to 3 or 4 companies that own everything. There's a great meme about that too. I need to find that again. Anyway, we're up against a break. When we come back, we're going to hear from Frank Luntz, who is a political commentator, and he was on CNN panel the other day, and he surprised him. So we'll just leave it there.
Well, we'll just call it that.
Yeah. So hang in there. We'll be right back.
The Stay Off My Lawn podcast is recorded before a live studio audience.
Hi, everybody. This is Wolfman Jack for Clearasil, and have we got a great offer for you? A super record album by my good friends, the Stylistics, brought to you by the Clearasil people. It includes hit songs like Let's Get It All Together and You Make Me Feel Brand New, plus 8 other biggies. All you got to do to get it is send a box top from Clearasil and a check or money order for $1.99 with your name and address to Clearasil, Wolftown, Virginia. Allow 6 weeks for delivery, cause the mailman, he got to walk.
All right, welcome back to Stay Off My Lawn. We're just past halftime, and so the whistle's been blown, and the football's about to be kicked. Frank Luntz.
Ow! Not me, the football, you twit. What the?
Steve's been drinking.
That's true.
Frank Luntz.
I didn't even let him speak today. I'm sitting back.
I don't blame you. Turn on.
Oh man, he's grumbling hard today.
I unplugged his microphone. He must have figured out.
That's why we couldn't. I wondered why it was so peaceful and quiet today. Anyway,
he's grumpy. Frank Luntz is a political commentator. He's a communications consultant, and CNN had him on a panel recently. He was asked about the pressure being put on Trump to come up with the $450 million, which is totally crazy, which, by the way, he got that reduced to 175, and which I'm sure Letitia James did not sleep well last night.
And he's probably going to end up not having to even pay that, because what they did was there were no crimes, but they still charged him. It's like, wait a minute.
It's a very unique thing to prosecute, because you're right. That's just never been done before.
There was no jury. No. There was no, he was convicted before he ever showed up.
Yep, absolutely. Anyway, they asked Frank Luntz about this the whole case with Trump, and this was his response.
All right, Frank, the politics of this. Folks in the Biden campaign are already starting to refer to Donald Trump as broke Don, which is interesting. And then there is the possibility that the New York Attorney General, Letitia James, would start seizing assets, maybe even buildings. How do you think that would play?
I want you to remember this moment, and don't forget it. If the New York Attorney General starts to take his homes away, starts to seize his assets, it's all going to be on camera. Pundits are going to sit there and scream about this. This man cannot be elected. You're going to create the greatest victimhood of 2024, and you're going to elect Donald Trump. If they take his stuff, he's going to say that this is proof that the federal government and the establishment and the swamp in Washington and all the politicians across the country and the attorneys generals and all of this, that this is a conspiracy to deny him the presidency. He's going to go up in the polls just like he went up every single time they indicted him. The indictment, let's not talk about whether it's justified or not, but it will prove the things that he's saying on the campaign trail, and he will go up, and it may just elect him president. Do not forget that. And I say this to the Attorney General right now. If you play politics on this, this is what the secretaries of state did in Colorado and what they did in, I believe it was Maine. His numbers went up in both states. I don't understand. I'm almost speechless in how pathetic the opposition to Trump has been and how completely misguided. And this is a perfect example of it.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Playing politics, I think that the ship already sailed from the very beginning. She ran on this.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
We're going to get him. Why? What was there to get him about? There was nothing. When you have the people that he dealt with, because there's no crime, the banks and that said, oh, yeah, no, he paid everything back with interest and we made millions off the deal and we'd love to work with him again.
Of course.
They do their due diligence. They didn't have a problem with it.
They don't care what the facts are. I mean, you saw that in the whole January 6th hearing, as they eliminated stuff that was that should have exonerated a lot of people, and it doesn't seem to matter. The facts don't matter. It's all about how I feel. I can't even say it with a straight face.
Yeah.
So anyway, I think we need to remember what he said, because that's extremely good. A federal judge nominee, Nancy Maldonado, was in front the middle of being confirmed in the Senate last week, and she ran into a buzzsaw. Guess what another name for that buzzsaw is?
It's Senator Kennedy.
Senator Kennedy. Anyway, to put it mildly, she was on her heels the whole time, and this is how that sounded.
When you were a partner in your law firm, you volunteered to write a brief on behalf of the Brady Center. You wrote the brief, and this is what you said. You volunteered for this. You weren't being paid. Is that right?
This was a pro bono case that one of my partners brought in, yes.
You said, quote, assault weapons may be banned because they're extraordinarily dangerous and are not appropriate for legitimate self-defense purposes, close quote. Tell me what you meant by assault weapons.
Thank you, Senator Kennedy. Just to clarify there, I was local counsel. Our Supreme...
but you wrote the brief. Tell me what you meant by assault weapons.
Senator Kennedy, actually, I did not write the brief. The brief was written by...
you signed the brief, though, didn't you?
Correct. I signed the brief.
You sign a brief, you're testifying to the court that everything in it is true, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So
they're your words in terms of the court, right?
Well, you're correct, Senator Kennedy. Okay. I would never sign...
Tell me what you meant by assault weapons.
So I am not a gun expert, and at the time, that brief, I think, was about 10 years...
Giving the court advice about, say, ban assault weapons. What is... You told the court you were an expert. Just tell me what you wanted to ban.
Senator, sitting here today, as I said, I did not write that brief. I was local counsel.
Sign the brief.
I understand. At the time...
Tell me what you wanted to ban. That's all I want to know, Judge.
I don't remember the exact definition of assault weapons in the ordinance that was at issue.
So you submitted a brief to an appellate brief. You signed it, and you don't know what. And you said abolish assault weapons, and you don't know what you wanted them to abolish.
Senator, at the time that I signed the brief, I read the brief. Because our Supreme Court required an Illinois bar member to sign the brief. I was not responsible for researching the content.
You were responsible for the brief.
Absolutely. And sitting here today, I do not remember the characteristics of that were cited in the ordinance for the assault weapons ban. It's not an area of practice that I have specialized in. I'm sure 10 years ago, I could have answered your question.
And
but sitting here today,
you think you deserve to be promoted?
You think you deserve to be promoted? You know, I have said this so many times. Assault weapons is a made-up term. It doesn't mean anything. That's why she couldn't answer the question.
No, that's a left made up term, and we were talking about this off the air. But in my opinion, I just realized what Senator Kennedy was like. He comes across very unassuming, and if those of you of an older age, like we are, remember the wonderful show Columbo. I'm sorry, just one more thing. Yeah. You know, it was always he's leaving and going. Oh, I just thought of something else.
I love that he's experienced enough to know when they're going off on a little bit of a political rant, he talks right over him and says, so what did you mean by assault weapon? And it stops them, and it's beautiful.
And they're going, yeah, AR, that's an assault rifle, AR. Yeah. That is not what it means. What's the actual AR? What's it mean?
Armalite. Armalite.
Thank you.
It's the name of the company that made the weapon originally.
So it's like, give me a break, people. You don't even know what you're talking about. You have no clue.
And you know what? I think we heard from Wesley Hunt last week, who is a veteran that's run many tours in Afghanistan or Iraq. I forgot which, but he was saying that he would never go to war with an AR-15 because it's basically it's a rifle. It looks scary. I give you that. Yes. I mean, and anybody who's a veteran likes it because it or even not a veteran likes it because it looks cool. But they don't like it because it looks scary, and it's all about feelings. It's not about real.
For crying out loud. Yeah, and it doesn't do, if you're any kind of distance away at all, it really doesn't do that much. And I love how the View was saying, and it'll just destroy a deer. It'll blow it all to pieces.
Yeah, you can't even eat the deer afterwards because it blows it all apart. It's like, oh my gosh.
That's not true at all. And if you know anything about your average hunter, you want to try to make a shot as best as you can so that you're not destroying the meat because that's what you're out there to get anyway.
Exactly. Well, you know, I mean, Joy Behar has proven herself not to be the smartest, anyway, one way or the other.
Yeah, the queen of maroons. We got off anyway.
Yeah, we did. Hey, a former business partner of Hunter Biden, Tony Bobulinski, was testifying in front of Congress last week. And honestly, I probably have an hour of clips that we could play. These were fantastic. But this is just a sample of how that went because we don't have an hour. This is how the beginning went when he was first introduced, and it was quite uncomfortable. And of course, it made Jamie Raskin squirm in his seat like he had terrible hemorrhoids or whatever. But it was
he had ants in his pants.
He did. He looked very uncomfortable. And this is how, and you'll see why. Here it is.
Should I allow Hunter to give his opening statement first?
Doesn't appear Mr. Biden showed up for his public hearing, so we'll recognize you, Mr. Bobulinski.
Rep. Dan Goldman and Jamie Raskin, both lawyers, and Mr. Goldman, a former prosecutor with the SDNY from New York, will continue to lie today in this hearing and then go straight to the media to tell more lies. Hunter Biden's defense attorney, Abby Lowell, weaponizes letters to Congress to try to smear my name.
Mr. Chairman, proceed. I apologize for the disruption.
Am I supposed to say it's my time, Mr. Raskin?
Yeah.
By the way, I'm going to stop it right there. Jamie Raskin is like, I don't like that he's talking about me in the middle of it's like, so anyway, that's why I said I want to reclaim my time. It's really good here.
The American people must hear it. You're presented here today with two narratives in this investigation. A false one being pushed by Joe Biden, a serial liar and fabulous, now under this impeachment investigation for public corruption. It is clear to me that Joe Biden was the brand being sold by the Biden family. Joe Biden was more than a participant in and a beneficiary of his family's business. He was an active, aware enabler who met with business associates such as myself to further the business. I ask this big question. If there's no evidence of corruption here today, if Joe's conduct and the conduct of his family were fully legal and proper, then why are they so dishonest about it? Not just slight misrepresentations of fact, but deep untruths about the entire corrupt enterprise.
You know, I'm just surprised he doesn't. You need to start looking for a red dot when you're outside because, I mean, they're going to take you out for saying those kind of things.
Yeah, but he's also, all of his testimony is he has stuff written, and I've heard it is put in a safe place.
Yeah.
So that
So if something does happen to him, then it can be retrieved.
There are more other. He's just fed up with it. He is. You can tell he is extremely irritated.
Yep.
You've called me a liar and stuff. No, I'm not having this.
Yep. Yeah. And it's great. I love it when somebody stands up, especially somebody who was involved knee deep in the whole thing. And we've got more clips coming up. Why don't we take a break and we'll come back and do the next two clips because we went over the first two segments. So
you think
a little bit, and it's probably my fault.
We've been babbly today, but boy, this stuff is hot and heavy.
It's really good. So when we come back, we're going to hear Matt Gaetz is going to ask him some good questions. And anyway, it's really good. So hang in there. We will be right back.
I'm Charmaine Davies, and if you're looking for a new podcast to listen to, I suggest
You Stay Off My Lawn. Well, no, not my lawn. It's a podcast called Stay Off My Lawn, which is absolutely brilliant. It's funny, it's informative. The guys that present it are just amazing. So that's everything you need in a podcast, I think. So go over to Stay Off My Lawn. It's brilliant. Make it your guilty pleasure. It's definitely mine.
This message is for Karina, our mom who finished her high school diploma at age 28. Hi, Mom. It's Emmettith and Nicholas.
Congratulations on getting your diploma.
You worked so hard and have taught us so much. We love you.
When you graduate, they graduate. Finish your high school diploma for you and for them. Visit finishyourdiploma.org to find free and supportive adult education centers near you. Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
All right, welcome back to Stay Off My Lawn, segment 4. We are on the home stretch, and we're in the middle of this whole Tony Bobulinski thing that it was fascinating to listen to. Like I said, we've got enough clips to last us probably till midday Wednesday. But anyway, Matt Gaetz, who you either love him or hate him, asked him about how above board the Biden crime family was and how he figured it out, which is interesting.
I didn't know till years later that they had defrauded me. They had gotten paid all this money and all this craziness. The amount of facts.
It just seems pretty simple. This is either a bribe or a business.
It was a bribe from the Chinese Communist Party.
And
I don't say that lightly. There's 1,200 pages, 8 days of testimony in the Southern District of New York. I encourage everyone watching me, hearing me say this. They're publicly available. Go read them. Our Department of Justice outlines in intimate detail the corruption and bribes that CFC was deploying to political officials all over the world.
It wasn't
so
just in
I'm
the
here
United
to believe that they did this in every other country, but with the Biden family, it was pristine. It was an actual clean business. That's absurd.
Absurd. Oh my gosh. You know?
Yeah, you don't make a bunch of shell companies. And if you don't know what a shell company is, it's not the oil company.
No,
it's
definitely
not the
not.
gas company that you buy fuel
It's greasy like that, but it's not, yeah.
Yes, it is. It's just made up to launder money is basically all it is to pass things through this corporation that says it's blah, blah, blah. It goes in, comes back out the other side and dispersed between other things. And they have the records of where it came from. Right now, they've got a problem with the CCP and donations from China is also part of this. It's part of the Democratic Party. I forget what the name of it is, but it all goes back to CCP is putting money, and they have Kramer says, I think was the gentleman, went and looked up these people's names who had given like $30,000 to the Democratic Party over a 2-year span. And they went and talked to them and they went, oh, good Lord, no, we don't have that kind of money. Well, it shows that they had donated something like 15 times. And they go, no, we only sent money in twice. I mean, it was a substantial for us amount of money, but not $30,000. And so they were using they're a donor. So they attached stuff to their name and said that these folks had donated. And he went to like 8 or 10 different houses and every one of them went, what?
Yeah.
Didn't know their names were being used to donate. And it was money that was coming from the CCP into this. It's a major Democratic funding arm of
is
the
it
Democratic Party.
Act Blue? Is that the one you're thinking
Act
of?
Blue.
Yeah.
There you go. Thank you. The name was just escaping me.
Yeah,
Thank you for your help, sir.
And they did find out that, and I think we talked about this probably about a month ago, they found out that 60% of the donations to Act Blue funneled somehow from China. So,
yes. And they were using other people's names who had legitimately donated to the party, but not 16 times in the span of a little over a year. So,
and maybe it took those people of being accused of donating 16 times. Maybe they took a step back and go, you know, maybe this Democratic Party that I'm so beholden to, maybe they're not who I think they are. So maybe
they were looking rather surprised. or sounding surprised, because some of them didn't want to be on camera, but he was still interviewing them anyway. And he wasn't nasty about it. He just says, were you aware of how many? Oh, good Lord, no.
If I had known that, I would have changed my taxes, because I could have. I mean, that would be my first thought. It's like, well, if they said that I donated, $150,000, heck, I only made 82 last year. Let's do this. Goodness gracious.
Yeah, it's like, how's that working? Yeah. What, carry the one? I think that's wrong.
Yeah, I don't think I made that much. Anyway.
Okay, back to our subject at hand.
So Tony Bobulinski was asked about Hunter's role specifically, and this was equally as good.
Hunter Biden represents, he's a governance expert. That's why Burisma put him on the board. Well, he obviously can't do basic math. The board of Oneida Holdings had 7 votes. Each one of them, Hunter, Jim Biden, James Gillian, and Rob Walker, had a single vote. I had 3 votes. I have a master's degree in electrical and nuclear engineering. I think I can do math. I had 3, they had 4. They controlled Oneida Holdings. So Hunter Biden's representations that I was trying to take the business from them or I didn't know is all a sham and a misrepresentation. He wanted money in his account instantly, and that's why he shook down the Chinese, and they were willing to send him that $5 million because they viewed it as a bribe to the Biden family. Chairman Yi was dropping $50 million of cash for penthouses in Manhattan. Who you should be asking all these questions are the Department of Justice, the SDNY, the FBI, because they have troves of evidence. This involved the Chinese Communist Party. They were doing a transaction with Rosneft, which was a Russian-sanctioned, U.S.-sanctioned company at the time, and the Biden family was right front and center in the middle of it. Hunter Biden represents, he's a governance expert.
Oh, there we go. Yeah, and you were talking about these LLCs, these shell corporations. Yes. You go to the Caribbean and you open an LLC, costs you $100 or whatever. So it's like you filter all this money through there, and now I guess the CCP bought all those penthouses in New York City just directly. I guess they figured that they weren't going to get caught because we had complicit people in the White House or whatever. So I just don't know how they're going to get away with it. I know that all this information's coming out, but with the DOJ the way they are, is there ever going to be any true impeachment things, or not necessarily impeachment? Is there ever going to be any treasonous charges made against Joe Biden once he gets out?
There should be, but they're not doing anything.
Well, they're not going to now.
It's all just blah, 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 lots of talk, nothing.
I think what has to happen is that Trump needs to get elected, and then he needs to do a house cleaning in the DOJ and get things to where they should be, and then maybe there'll be some charges, because you can't charge a sitting president, but there might be some charges. And if Joe lives through all this, I mean, Joe was obviously the mastermind of all this stuff, and Hunter was just a pawn because, he had to give 10% to the big guy and the whole thing. And, it's just such a corrupt situation. I mean, the Teflon Don, gosh, what's that crime family? What's his name? Don something. I can't remember what his name is.
I know you're talking about. I can't think. I'm not good with names.
Anyway, he would probably be very proud of how all this went and how they're getting away with all this. But what are you going to do?
It's just constant this, that, and something else. And they're finding, because when you have, what did I hear one time? It was 20 plus shell companies. Yeah. And when you have that many that you're trying to shuffle this for that, and if you're not keeping records of it, you're going to get lost as to what went where and where, who came to what, and, money that was, sent to the big guy and said, this was for paying a loan. What loan? There's nothing on your records that you got any money for anything from anywhere. Loan, period. Right. So it's just gotten sloppy because as is the case usually with bad criminals, is they're not really good at it. No, they're not. No.
Oh, like
not
you said,
the sharpest tools in the shed.
When you keep records, there's a record somewhere, and somebody can get their eyes on it. And especially if you're dealing with hundreds of millions of dollars, So hopefully all that comes out, and hopefully, they're going to write off Bobulinski as a conspiracy theorist and somebody who's just crazy. And so, I mean, whatever.
Did you have the when he was talking to AOC?
Oh no, I didn't. Yeah, he was talking about asking about Rico, and AOC basically said, "Well, but what crimes?"
That's a category.
Oh my gosh,
And he goes, "No, it's not. It's what you're being brought up on, or RICO charges. No, that's a category. No, she's just a putz.
Easily the dumbest person in Congress, which that's considering the way Congress is now, Republicans and Democrats, that's a lofty goal. She's done well.
Yeah, no, that was sad. She kept trying to pin him down, and he just went, "No, this is what the deal is. Here's what it is. You don't even know what you're talking about," he told her.
Yeah, she doesn't. She didn't. That doesn't stop her.
And then she's looking at him with a blank stare going, she didn't know what else to
tell that to Trump in Atlanta. That's the RICO charges of what he's being brought up on. I mean, those are part of his indictment. Oh my gosh.
They didn't even exist for what they were trying to bring him up on. So,
it doesn't seem to matter. I need a palate cleanser.
I am. Yes, please.
This is a story of a young boy in North Carolina that didn't know much about the Pearl Harbor attack. I mean, most young people don't, and and unfortunately, that means that the schools haven't been teaching it. And considering he's only 11 years old, maybe he hasn't gotten to that point in school, but. He did hear about it, and but he was inspired. Let's put it that way. And it's a great story, and it gives me a little bit of hope for the youth today. So here's that story. Oh, by the way, it's narrated by me. So if you want to tune out now, there you go.
No, don't tune out. He does it really good.
Here we go. The bean fields and mountains of North Carolina are 5 time zones and more than 5,000 miles from Hawaii. But such differences are trifles compared to the determination of youth. 11-year-old Harrison Johnson from North Carolina has raised $81,000 to help fund history projects to tell the story of the attack on Pearl Harbor. The money was raised by collecting donations door to door, selling patriotic popsicles, and public speaking events, yes, by Harrison himself. But what brought this spark of patriotic fervor out in this boy's heart when he had never even seen the famous harbor on Oahu? Well, according to News Radio WRAL in Raleigh, it began in school with a history project. The particulars of the event fascinated Harrison, who began to study it recreationally, reading books and old newspaper accounts, and even speaking to survivors of the attack. Following a visit to the Pearl Harbor National Memorial in Oahu, Harrison was motivated to start a campaign to ensure that the heroes and victims of the date, which will live in infamy, are never forgotten. His fundraising campaign, called Harrison's Heroes, is looking to raise $100,000 for Pacific Historic Parks, the nonprofit that stewards the Pearl Harbor National Memorial. In particular, Harrison hopes that it can produce material that expands the history of the attack to include heroic acts from men and women of color and other underrepresented members. Here's a story on Harrison from a local TV affiliate in Raleigh, North Carolina.
Harrison's Heroes is a fundraiser which is helping the Pearl Harbor Memorial. I am giving $100,000 to Pacific Historic Parks, who are the stewards of the Pearl Harbor Memorial.
I had a school project and I had to pick a U.S. landmark. I chose the Pearl Harbor Memorial because back then I didn't really know what it was. I didn't know what happened there, why it was a memorial. So after studying, reading, and learning about it, my parents got to take me. That got me inspired to raise money for it. I learned about Dory Miller. I thought his story was really inspiring and none of my friends have heard of it. I sometimes go to house, going out with my cards, which say a little bit about myself and Harrison's Heroes. I also sometimes do fundraisers at restaurants like Chipotle and Panera. It's important so that people my age can learn about the heroes of the Pearl Harbor attack.
When he first told us the amount, there was hesitation on my part. I was like, do you mean, let's talk about a smaller amount? And he was pretty firm that that's the amount. This might be a long road, but are you going to give up and say, No. He's not going to stop until he reaches that, even if it's a multi-year effort. We're so proud, and we pray it makes the impact that he intends.
If you would like to donate to Harrison's Heroes, go to pacifichistoricparks.org. Click on Ways to Give, and then Harrison's Heroes. He's already raised $81,000, so that's fantastic.
Yeah, they always say, there's no good kids in America. There are a lot of them. The news media doesn't report them. And what a wonderful, inspiring young man that this is what I want to do. It's a good cause, and that's what I'm going to stick with.
I like that he was stubborn about the whole $100,000 too.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yep. I'm not gonna stop till it happens. So that's wonderful.
It is wonderful. Well, we hope you were somewhat informed and had fun like we did. Don't forget you can find us on iTunes, Spotify, iHeart, Google, or wherever you get your podcasts. And that includes Miss A. Ask her to play the latest episode of Stay Off My Lawn.
Or you can just find us on our website at stayoffmylawn.us for all our past and present episodes.
We will see you next week, folks.
Thanks for listening. Toodles. Well, we had fun and hope you did too. The opinions heard here today are not those of anyone other than Mike and Richard. If it made you laugh or go, or even, then we've done our job. Sort of. Well, mostly anyway. And if we made you think about things in a common sense manner, we welcome you to the club. And if it didn't, then just stay off my lawn. See you next time.